Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be interviewing a very special lady, a very amazing, true and inspiring lady. She's a stand-up comedian based in Los Angeles. Her name is Kim Tavares. I've never seen her do stand-up, but about a month ago I heard her being interviewed on the Comedy Store podcast, and I had to invite her on because she's got this inspiring story about how she got into stand-up comedy. I don't want to spoil it at this moment, but it's very inspiring, and I want to find out about her and all that and stuff. And she was funny during the interview as well, and just very real and very honest too. And I wanted to interview her badly, and so finally going to do it now. And I'm really excited about it. I love people who are inspiring and real and have been through some shit, because I've been through some shit, as all of you know, with my car accident and whatnot have you. And so, yeah, here is my interview with Kim Tavares.
Hello.
Hi, Kim. Welcome to the show.
Oh, hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Well, we're finally doing this.
Yeah.
So, a month ago, I heard you on the Comedy Store podcast, and I was just moved to tears by your inspiring story.
I can't. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear you from there. Yeah, that happened a long time ago, but, it's kind of not.
Well, still, it's a timeless story.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Still, it's a timeless story.
Yeah, it is.
So, going back to the beginning, did you know that you were funny growing up?
I did, actually, because I always tried to make people laugh. When I was a little girl, I had a big family. I grew up on the East Coast, and we would all get together and go to my grandmother's for like holidays, and I would be like the talent. Like I would do talent shows, like
Right.
I do Lily Tomlin. I would imitate people.
Love Lily Tomlin.
I never said, "Oh, I want to be a stand-up comedian." Never did I say that.
But you did watch comedy when you were growing up.
I did, and I loved Saturday Night Live. Now, I started watching that when I was like 11 or 12 when Gilda Radner was on it, and I just loved it. And I did want to be on Saturday Night Live. I always wanted to be on Saturday Night Live because I liked skits and characters.
Yeah, I always wanted to be on Saturday Night Live too, but now after I've heard all the behind-the-scenes stories, I don't think I'd want to be a cast member, but I would definitely want to host at least one time.
Yeah, that would be cool to host, but I don't think I'd want to be a cast member either. I would think, it seems to me that, just like a lot of other things, it would be really hard for someone like me to excel on a show like that, because I feel like it's a kind of a cliquey kind of, like they pick the people they want to be. Although maybe not, I don't know, but I would want to be a cast member on it.
Yeah.
Not now.
Yeah, of course not now. Yeah. So okay, you were watching sketch comedy and stuff like that when you were growing up, but did you watch stand-up comedians?
I didn't really start watching stand-up comedians, really, like hearing about what they were saying or anything, until I was in college, a freshman in college, and Eddie Murphy came on the scene. Then I was like, and I was like, I thought he was the funniest thing, and so I had every album of his, because back then, you had to either see him at the club or album, but Eddie did specials. So he did where you could go to the movies and watch his stand-up show. So I would go to the movies and watch all of his stand-up shows that he did. And I was just like, I would love to do stand-up like that. Like, I would love to. But I hadn't a clue as to how you do that at all. Like, I had no idea how to write a joke or anything like that. So then I so then I didn't think about it much more. And then I was still in college. And then when I moved to California, about 4 or 5 years being here, I decided, I should do comedy so I could get an agent. So I started kind of doing comedy, and then my son died. And then I got pregnant with my son, and then he died, and then I went back east for a year, and then when I came back, I had to go through a murder trial here in downtown LA.
Mm-hmm.
And after that was all over, I was like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? And so I was working like telemarketing, and then I also decided to do comedy again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started, but I was really, really sad. It was really a difficult time for me. I was pushing myself. And so I would do comedy, and I remember I went to a comedy store, and I auditioned for Mitzi.
Mm-hmm.
That was like 1990, I want to say 92.
Yeah.
And she made me unpaid regular. So then I was an unpaid regular, so I was getting spots here and there. And then I got pregnant with my son, who is now 24. So then once I got pregnant with him, I stopped doing comedy. He was born in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 4 years after my first son had died. So after my second son was born, right when he was born, I started working on an act again. And then I went, I was doing it all at the open mic. And then I did a room in the belly room.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitzi happened to be coming from her office right at the time that I was on stage. I got on stage. And she watched my act. And then when I was done, she called me over and said she was going to make me a paid regular. And I don't even think she remembered me from 3 years earlier when I was an unpaid regular. I don't even remember, because it was different material. And yeah. So then I became a paid regular. And then I started working all the time at the comedy store. And then I did a showcase because I was trying to get an agent. And I did the Laugh Factory.
Mm-hmm.
And they were having a showcase right after, there was a showcase, but I wasn't in the showcase. But I performed anyway, and the people that were doing the showcase were there. And the agent, there was an agent there, and he was like, I didn't come to see you, but I would love to sign you. So I signed with him, and I started going on auditions, and then I did another showcase at the Laugh Factory for Brandon Carter, and then he gave me a development deal.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really nice. I had to prove that he wrote a book and he signed, he signed it for me. And I'll text you because I'm walking right now, so I'll text you what he inscribed. But it was really encouraging. Even though shortly after he died, so it's everything kind of went south because I did this Showtime special, and I did really, really well. It was a Latino Laugh Festival, and I did really, really well. And things were going really, really good. And then these managers saw me, and they just had to sign me. And honestly, once I signed with them, and then they told me to go with ACA agency, and I didn't know. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And things just started halting, and then Brandon died, so then everything kind of dried up. And I was still really suffering from depression.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of was going through the motions working at the comedy store, but just kind of I was depressed. So So
Yeah.
then I got pregnant with my daughter. That was like 8 years later. And once I got pregnant with her, I kind of just walked away from comedy altogether and got more depressed and moved to Florida. And when I say depressed, I was depressed, but functioning well. So, you really couldn't see that I was depressed. But I was.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't, I knew I was. And so then, so that's been kind of it. And just struggling, financially and because, I was doing these telemarketing jobs in between my acting and my comedy, trying to raise my kids. So it's been an interesting journey for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's just amazing. So you got to be a part of like the very end of that whole development deal thing with the comedians.
Yeah. They would give you like money, so they gave me money, but my new manager convinced me not to take the deal.
Wow.
They said they could get me something better, and then they never did. And so, I never actually did the deal, and then Brandon got sick. He had lymphoma, Hodgkin. So he was in remission when I met him, but then I can't remember. Anyway, he was doing okay, but then he got sick again, and then it just, so he couldn't be there. And, things just turned different, and I didn't have enough drive or care in me at the time to really keep pushing.
Yeah. So the first official time you went up on stage, what year was that?
So the first official really was I took a class from a woman called Judy Carter.
Yeah.
In Santa Monica. Remember her with red hair?
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, and remember Izzy's in Santa Monica, so that's where she would have her showcases.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought I'm gonna, I need an agent. So rather than to try to do what everybody else is doing, I'll take a stand-up class and do comedy. And so that's how it came about, and that was in 1980. I want to say maybe 87.
Uh-huh.
And then after I took her class, I started doing open mics, and I met my son's father, E.L. Hughley. And that was my first son's father. And then we, got into a relationship, and then I got pregnant, and then, when I told him I was pregnant, he said, he told me he was married. I had no idea he was married. So then I was crushed, because I really, was crazy about him at the time, and had no clue, and neither did anybody, because he was doing open mics too, so none of us knew he was married, because he would just come to the shows, and he never had a wedding ring, and, you don't think. And I was dating him, and, his excuse was just, well, I live in a small studio with a roommate, so it's better to, go to your place, and, of course that sounded okay to me, and he lives in, like, Carson, California, and I live in Sherman Oaks, so... So anyways, so that happened, and like I said, and then I got pregnant with my son, and then he ended up getting killed, and it was just sad.
Oh my God, that's terrible. Wow.
Yeah.
My journey is pretty amazing too. I took care of my grandmother for 9 months after I graduated high school in 2001, and she died. I was depressed for a few years, didn't really do anything.
I'm sorry about that, yeah.
Yeah, and then I got into stand-up in 2006 in San Francisco. I found out I had to lose weight, and I did, and I replaced food with writing jokes. That became my way of coping with losing weight, and so I was doing that, and then I kind of drifted away from stand-up for a little bit, then got back into it. Then I became a really bad alcoholic. I had a bad car accident 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I spent 30 days in a coma and 5 months in the hospital.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. It was pretty bad.
Oh, but you're better now, obviously.
Better now, yeah. I mean, I got the worst of the injuries, and
What kind of injuries do you have?
I broke my leg in 7 places. I had my sternum crushed. I had a mild heart attack. They put a stent in me.
How old are you?
I'm 35 now.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Wow, was the accident were you drinking and driving?
No, the guy I was hanging out with did. I fell asleep at the wheel. I fell asleep in the passenger seat. He fell asleep at the wheel, and we ended up in the middle of the road. We got out okay, but then a car collided with ours, and the impact hit us both.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. And the amazing part is, after I got out of the hospital, I spent a month recovering, just staying at home and recovering, and then I started going up on stage again, and I never left the stage for the next 2 years. And now,
How many years?
for the next 2 years, I never left the stage. And then I came up here in Reading to help my mom out with the rent until she retires next spring. I got a 2-year commitment on that. That's going to be ending soon, and then we're going to try to move to Los Angeles after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So you weren't these like what comedy rooms you do comedy rooms out there where you're at?
Now, there's really no comedy out here. Doing my podcast in my bedroom is like my only ways of being funny. And
I see. Okay. And then what do you once you do your podcast, how big is your audience?
I've only got.
I don't know how podcasts work, to be honest with you. I'm like too old for this technology. I don't get it. Like, what is this? It's a freaking like live radio. What is it? Like, what is it? I don't even. Because I used to get a podcast, and I'm like, I would if I knew what the fuck it was.
It's an internet radio show, pretty much, and there's no censorship. You can say anything you fucking want on here, you know?
I love that.
Yeah, and there's so many ways you can do it. You can, get an account on iTunes or SoundCloud like the Comedy Store does, and you can have microphones and recorded audio, or you can do it with audio, and you can have a camera with the iPhone to record it visually, and you can put it on YouTube as well.
Right. But then how do you? How you grow your audience is you just post your shows, and and hope that people will listen and repost and share, and that's how you grow your audience.
Yeah, you upload it, and then you share it on social media, and just keep doing it until your audience grows. And even if it doesn't grow, at least it's something you can do and help you build a following, and just
Right.
have verbal therapy, pretty much.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, good. That's good. Yeah, I'll think about doing one myself.
Yeah. And oh my God, so I've been to the Comedy Store 3 times. I love that place.
Yeah, it's great. I'm in fact, I am putting together 5 minutes so that I can go, and because it's all new now, and Missy passed away, and so in order for me to get back in, I was a paid regular there. My name is on the very front marquee, like Roseanne, like all of them, Rick Pryor. But I still have to start from scratch kind of to get back in there, and they don't really have a lot of women. And one of the girls, Cynthia, and Eleanor. That's a podcast. Yeah, Eleanor.
Yeah.
The waitress when I was a regular, and she used to watch my son for me. He was 4. She would watch him while I went on stage. But Missy used to let me take him to work with me. But I just, while I went on stage, I needed somebody to watch him. So Eleanor would watch him, and I always tell her she was so funny and she should do comedy. So I love that, cut to 20 years later, she's doing comedy. But she, she and Cynthia, which is another girl that used to be at the Comedy Store all the time.
I've interviewed Cynthia, yeah.
Yeah, Cynthia. Well, she got in because she said they were looking for more women, but she gets like really late spots.
Yeah.
But Comedy Store is really booming. It's not like it used to be. So even when you get a late spot,
Yeah.
there's still people there. It's not like a late spot like back in the day where it was just like one person or nobody by that time at 1 o'clock. But I still don't want late spots because I just don't. I mean, Sissy is single, and maybe it works for her, but I don't. I prefer an earlier spot just because it's more conducive to my lifestyle. But excuse me, so I'm going to be showcasing for them to try to get back in there.
Oh, that's great. That's really great.
Yeah. So that's what I have to do in order to get back out there. You kind of have to. It's different though than it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. The first time I went 2 years ago, this was like a year and a half after my recovery. The Comedy Store podcast had not started yet, so I didn't know that the system was different now, right? So I go there thinking that it's going to be like how it used to be. And I signed up along with 80 other guys, and I didn't get on. But I went in to watch the show. I watched it for about 10 minutes, and then I got depressed and left. But something really good happened. I felt a sense of belonging there. I felt the presence of dead comedians in the room.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just this weird feeling, but it didn't make me uncomfortable or nothing, but I just felt like Richard Pryor was in the room and Sam Kinison and Robin Williams, and they were watching the show, and I could have swore I saw some debris coming from the red neon light over there in the OR.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, and we're coming down the driveway ramp, and of course that's where Steve Lubekin landed when he jumped off of the Hyatt in '79. I knew that. Yeah, I knew that, and I felt a shudder down my back knowing that we're like walking on that pavement.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know he jumped from the Hyatt.
Yeah, he jumped off the Hyatt, and he was trying to land on top of the Comedy Store, but he landed on the pavement of the driveway.
Oh, my goodness. Was he on drugs?
They say that he was a drug guy, and he was depressed, so it's quite possible, but he was suicidal to begin with.
Oh, okay. I used to, when Richard Pryor came back in the 90s, I want to say 95, 96, 97. He used to perform at the Comedy Store on Wednesday nights. They had, like everybody knew on Wednesday nights, you could see Richard Pryor. His name, would be on the thing, and so people would come out on Wednesday nights to see him. And I used to bring him up every Wednesday. So I would sit in the back and talk to him, before I went on. Then I would bring him on, and then after he went on, he would stay in the back, and we became, I won't say friends really, but like we talked a lot because it was always there, and he was really, really a great guy and really funny and very encouraging to me, because I shared with him about my son, and he was very encouraging. But again, I was really still quite depressed back then, even though, I was getting on stage because I was working like 4 to 5 nights a week there. And I would get on stage and make people laugh, but I was just trying to do something with my life after what happened to me, and so it was more that, but so it was again, I feel like now if I was talking to Richard, I would ask him, it would be different, but I was so whatever back then that I feel like I didn't really take advantage of sitting there with him all those, the many times that I did, because I just didn't care.
Yeah. Well,
and then Richard Denny, who was a really funny comic, he used to always either follow me or I followed him in the main room on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue. He was very depressed. You know, he committed suicide, and I was so taken aback by that. Not so much, I guess, because I understand that you could be depressed and no one knows, but I just never. I mean, I knew he kind of was like cynical.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have thought that he was that depressed that he wanted to take his own life. It was sad. So when I heard that, when he passed away, it was years after, you know, we had worked together, but I felt really like, wow, because, you know, again, I remember we would talk all the time backstage, backstage, this was the main room. So that's that big curtain room. And they had really nice backstage where it was like very like Vegas-y.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would wait back there, and you know, the comic before you or after you would be back there as well. So him and I would always talk. But I would, you know, hindsight, like once he, you know, passed away, I was like, oh, I should have maybe listened to him more. And I remember he used to tell me about his girlfriend or different things, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah, but not really caring that much.
Yeah. Yeah, Richard Jeni, though, God, that guy, yeah, he's a hero of mine. I mean, that guy was so brilliant. He could do 4 shows in one night and never the same material.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that...
You know, he was a writer, and then here's the other thing I'm learning now, like, because I'm getting back up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to really be organized, and I wasn't organized. You have to, you know, it doesn't matter how much material you have, if you're not organized with it and how you know, for me, and how you're going to do it, then it's like, you just kind of get stuck. So I've been trying to, like, organize all of my material and catalog it. So because I have a lot of new stuff that I've written, but if I don't do it in a way where I organize it, I'm not going to know what I have. Like, it's my inventory, you know what I mean? And
Right.
I can't remember all of it off the top of my head like that. Like, I don't have that kind of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, during my recovery...
Until once I've done the material and I'm familiar with it, like my own material, I can just recall it. But, you know, I don't know if some comics can just write a joke and just, you know, in their head while they're walking, and then, you know, don't think about it again, and then just go on stage and do it. Like, I can't do that. I won't even remember that I wrote the joke.
Yeah. I know sometimes that's okay, though, because you'll keep coming up with better things, you know. If somebody really liked that joke, you'll come up with other things that are just as good, if not better.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like during my recovery process, you know, that enabled me to, you know, stay home and write. And that's what I did. And I really didn't have a game plan as soon as I got out of the hospital of what I was going to do, because because leading up to the accident, I was just an alcoholic wreck, and I was homeless and all this stuff. And I didn't know what I was going to do. But then it just started coming out of me. All these jokes and stuff just came out of me that weren't there before. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start going up on stage again once I have enough strength to go out again. And that's what I did. And I was like, holy shit, how come I didn't recognize this part of me, you know, 5-10 years ago when I started?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I do know. Well, because that's not where you were at the time. And so, you know, it's all a process. So even though maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago you didn't recognize this, you were still moving towards this where you're at now.
Yeah.
So sometimes our process is, we think we should know, like, how our process should go. And it's like, well, we really can't, because, I mean, we can kind of guide it, but we don't really know. I mean, it's really up to God. You know, in my opinion, you know, in the way I feel, it's really up to God. You can show up, but, you know, it's up to Him whether or not you're going to even see this day through.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. That's really true.
I think you start to, like, for me now, it's like, okay, so before when I was doing stand-up, you know, again, I was just trying to figure out to get on stage, to get an agent. I was young and, you know, ambitious, and, you know, wanted to be an actress. I don't necessarily want to be an actress now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, and I feel that comedy is something that I'm it's from God to do because number one, I don't know how I know how to write material and jokes, but I do, and I write them good. Like I'm good at writing jokes, and um, and I don't, and that's a gift. Like I feel like that came from God. And number two, now I look at it like, well, you're spreading love, you're spreading God's love through comedy. And you're reaching people, and you're helping people, and you're healing people, so I took the whole thing off of me, and I want to make it, and I want to do the best for me, like it's not for me anymore. It's just, okay, this is what I think I'm supposed to be doing, because there's nothing else for me to do. I'm 57, going on 57, and I lost my job, and I have this time. I mean, this is what I know how to do, so I'm just going to go for it. And hopefully I can help people. Like, I feel like I feel like stand-up comedians are like life coaches, but funny, because they help people. Like, they make people, people come out to sing about it. People come out to hear you laugh. People come out to hear you laugh, and laughter makes people feel better. So it's like you're a doctor. Like, you heal people. So when I look at it like that, then it's like, okay, well, you need to be good at it. You need to give it your all, because there's people out there that need to hear what you have to say. So you have to take this serious, and you have to, study, and, so that's kind of where I'm at now, where I wasn't back when I had the opportunity, when I was at the Comedy Store, and I could call in and get any spot that I wanted. Back then, I was just depressed. It was like doing it, but going through the motions. Like, I hardly ever worked on new material because my material worked, and so I just always did the same material.
Yeah.
And the joke can't. And I was always in the main room, which is the showroom, and I would get paid because you get a cut at the door. So you could never work out material in that room. You always had to be, do a show. And then I would book. I would book gigs, at the Improv on the road, again, you had to do shows. So my material worked, so I just stuck with it. And I was like a feature, so I always did 20 minutes. But I never I never challenged myself. But I didn't know that because I was depressed. I was really depressed. Because keep in mind, a lot of great things started happening to me only 4.5 years after my son died. So, and I never went to therapy or anything. I just kept going. So, and it was a really horrible situation. So, inwardly, I was suffering.
Wow.
Yeah. But now, cut to, 28 years later, and all the living I've done and the experiences I've had, now I have a clear idea of comedy. I write all the time, and I kind of know what direction I'm going. The only thing I have to work on is I procrastinate because there's still a lot. Like, I have fear. I have fear in me.
Right.
And and everybody does, but it holds me back. And I believe it's just because it's a symptom of I have a post-traumatic stress disorder, which is, just shock. Your body goes into a shock when your child is fine 1 hour, and the next hour they're like, he's going to die. And you can't process that. And so I'm starting, I started therapy in January. So kind of a blessing that I lost my job, because then I went to see a counselor from a friend of the job that I had. So you could probably go see a counselor, and maybe you can get on really kind of feel depressed. So I went and saw this counselor. He helped a lot. And the months that I see him. And, I'm in a different place now where, even though I know what the fear is, and once you understand it, you can kind of just work through it. And it's just fear and guilt, and like, oh, I don't deserve anything after all. My son died, my fault. life, and thank God that I've been able to understand that. And it's the life that I have, and I didn't ruin it completely. I'm able to have like a little bit of a second chance, I think, with doing some things here. And so I feel like my comedy, all of that was preparing me for this season of being a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
After all of my experiences, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that if I, because I'm funny, and if people came and saw me and then came, came backstage or after the show and was like, oh my God, you're so funny, and then they knew my story, they would be like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't even be able to function, and then that would encourage them to whatever they're struggling with to go, okay, if she can go through that, I can, and it will let them know that you can, it's not like life's not going to give you bad shit,
Mm-hmm.
it is, but it's how you deal with the bad shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
How you choose to deal with it. Because life also gives you really good shit, but we don't really ever talk on the good shit as much as we should. We know how to hold on to that bad shit forever.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely. So
that's where I'm at right now.
So pretty much you want to continue just going up on stage and doing your thing, and if you get some level of success, you're not seeking it, but we'll see what happens, basically, right?
Yeah, and I'm also writing, so I want to finish the show that I'm writing, and I'm sitting in a writer's room right now, fortunately, kind of observing on a Netflix show, which is great, and I'm also going to do warm-up on that Netflix show. I have a couple of warm-up dates with them in January, so I'm also kind of hoping that, and I'm preparing for that, because, I'm hoping that leads to a warm-up gig. That's what I've done in the past. It's really good money, and it's fun, and it's challenging, and, it helps you with your comedy, or you're like a cheerleader for a TV show. Keep the audience going. So I'm also I have working on too. So yeah, I mean, I want to make enough money doing this so I can take care of myself and my daughter. I don't want to work for anybody anymore, and I don't want to do jobs anymore just to make the money to take care of myself, because that in itself does not help with my depression.
Yeah.
I have to have purpose.
Wow. What's your favorite joke of all time?
Mine, or like one I have?
Any joke.
Oh my God, I don't know. You put me in the spot. I would have to think about it. I don't even know if I have like a favorite joke. I have a lot of funny jokes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff that I think is, funny. Before you called, I was working on, stuff that I'm going to be doing. But I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that, because I don't really, I can't think of a joke that I can say is my favorite all-time joke. I am weird like that. Like, I don't have a favorite artist, a favorite singer,
Mm-hmm.
favorite actor. I don't, and like when it comes to the entertainment business, like, yeah, I don't have any favorites in that. I like a lot of stuff, but I've never been one to like follow a group and be crazy about them, want to see every concert. That's never been me.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite joke?
Do you remember the one Eddie Murphy said on Delirious to those kids in the front row about the bear and the rabbit?
No,
Yeah, a bear and a rabbit are taking a shit in the woods. The bear says to the rabbit, "Excuse me, sir, do you have a problem with shit sticking to your fur?" The rabbit says no, so the bear wiped his ass with the rabbit.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy's funny. He cracked me up.
Yeah. I mean,
I like his style.
Yeah, I mean, he was the king back in the day. I mean, my dad and I, we used to watch his movies while my mom was at work. While my mom was at work, we used to watch Eddie Murphy's movies, and it would drive her crazy if she caught us.
Oh. That's funny.
but I couldn't watch Delirious until I was like 14, and when I did, I was like, oh my god, I had to wait this long to see this. It's hilarious, but it's not that bad, because I had heard worse, because I had heard Andrew Dice Clay by that point.
Oh yeah. I used to follow him sometimes, or bring him up sometimes too. In the we would pop in because back then he was big time.
Yeah.
When I was in the comedy store, so he would sometimes, all of them would pop in, and then you either have to bring them up or they would bump you. So a couple of times, he would bump me, which means, I'm not going to go up after him.
Yeah.
He was really blue, and I'm not. So that's why Missy had me at a certain time, all the time. Because she was very strategic about that, because I wasn't a blue comic, and so, you can't put a comic that's not blue to follow a blue comic, because they just changed the whole dynamic of the room.
Mm-hmm. Have you met Ali Wong?
Yeah, I've never met her, but Sherry Shepherd is one of my best friends, and she was at the Comedy Store not too long ago, and she wanted me to go with her to the set, and Ali Wong went on before her. One of my favorites now, and it has been for a while, is Bill Burr. I love him.
Yeah, I love him too.
And I feel like his style is like mine. Like, I have kind of that just kind of rant and talk, I would say like that. I'm like that. I'm not a sweet, comic. I'm a very sarcastic.
Yeah.
Kind. Yeah, and so I love Bill Burr, and I thought Ali Wong was really funny. I actually watched one of her specials because I was like, she's funny. I hadn't heard of her. There's so many new ones, but I think she's really funny.
I've never been a huge fan of her material or her personally, but I was gonna say she used to bump me and so many people when we were just starting out.
Really?
Yeah.
See, now her style is different than mine, but sometimes, and her delivery is sometimes a little like, huh? But
yeah.
I think she writes well, and I feel like I'm a writer. Well, I am a writer,
mm-hmm.
And so you could tell people who are writers who write jokes, and then she writes well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always been a writer too, but I would never be a part of a writing staff because because I'd be lucky, if anything I write, ends up in the final product, and I just wasted a whole day of writing jokes,
No, I know. No, you're right. Here's the thing, and I didn't think in the writing room, I didn't really know. I was a writer on a variety show with Splat called Vibe years ago.
Uh-huh.
That was completely different than writing on a sitcom. So the show I'm sitting in now, you're absolutely right. It's like you sit with a bunch of writers in a room, and then you may pitch one thing, like they use one of my lines, because I was able to pitch, and so they use one of my lines. But
yeah.
Very useful. Yeah, and here's the thing, I would prefer that either, unless it was my own show I was writing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good money, and it's a better job for me to do something like that than to go, and the money's way better than to go be a telemarketer somewhere.
Yeah.
Or to do a sales job outside of, because I'm really good at sales, so that's what I would have to do, and I really don't want to go back to being outside of the entertainment business.
Yeah.
And I agree, writing on a show, you all day, you pitch, and you come up with good things, and then if you're not the head of the writing room, then, your shit's really, and if you're female, there's so many things, then your shit just it doesn't matter how good it is, it's not, they decide what they want to use.
Yeah, which is the unfortunate part. But,
yeah. But if you're funny and your stuff is good, hopefully they'll use a lot of stuff. But it's very much a collaboration, which, like you said, can't be, you sit there all day and don't use any of your stuff. Can't be kind of frustrating if you're really trying to get your stuff out there. But it's also good experience for you, and if you're a writer, then you can take all that you've learned and then create your own show.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
And then hire right for that stuff.
Yep. Well, Kim, I thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
yeah, I'm glad we finally got to do this. And I know more blessings are just around the corner for you because you're just an amazing person.
Thank you, Tommy. It's really good. I'm sorry, I'm walking and I'm by the garden here. Sorry about that. Um, I'm going to continue to pray for you and your comedy and just continue, doing the work. I'm a firm believer if you continue doing every day what it is that you desire, it'll happen.
Yes, eventually it's going to happen.
Yes, and you're young. You're only 35. You're in that's a good age, and you still, it's a good time for you. So yeah, you're in a good, you'll be fine. Just keep it up.
Oh, thank you so much, Kim. Well,
Oh, you're welcome. And you take care.
yes, I'm going to let you go back to your writing now.
Okay. All right. And let me know when you have this one ready. I'd like to hear it.
Oh yeah, it'll be up pretty soon.
Okay. All right. Okay, Tommy. Well, you have a wonderful day. God bless you. Okay, hon?
God bless you and have a great day.
Thank you, Tommy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. Kim Tavares. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Kim. You're such a sweet lady and so inspiring and funny as well. And I wish you so much success. And who knows, we may be working together in LA someday. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.